Hello, my name is Susan Carew. A good friend of mine asked me to put together some affirmations because she was feeling really sad and wasn't coping with life and not knowing if she really wants to stay here because she's finding it all too hard. I felt when she was telling me these things that many people are feeling the same way, so I thought I would do this video for not only my dear friend but for you as well. I've also had my moments, as has everybody, and there is wisdom out there. There are ways to change our lives, to find the peace and the happiness that's within all of us. It's not just an idealistic statement. We are here to be happy. For those who don't know of my background, I am a clown, so I have dedicated my life to happiness. And I'm also interested in peace education. So I've dedicated my life to exploring how do we create peace within ourselves. So I thought I might start by just saying that I think the times we're moving through right now, there's a lot of conflict. There will be more conflict as people start to confront some of the things that they've buried for many, many years. They will have to explore their feelings much more deeply. We've all been taught to put on masks to hide how we truly feel. We've had to sort of struggle on, dealing with bills, dealing with broken marriages, dealing with children, seeing the media and perceiving that the world is not a very nice place. I would like to offer an alternative view. I do think the world is a great place. I've travelled it myself and I've been met with nothing but kindness from people of all walks of life. And I've come to understand that the way we think and feel does affect what we experience in life. The positive thinking revolution, if you like, was all about people learning to see the world differently and to think more positively. The work that I'm engaged in is actually finding true joy in your life. So it's not just trying to create pleasure so that you can distract yourself from what's really worrying you, but being brave enough to face the pain that comes to us. I do see pain as a teacher. I believe it's there for a purpose, and I do think it can lead you back to your real self if you're prepared to really look inwardly. You can't just go down to the pub and pretend that it's not happening, or turn on the television to try and distract yourself. Sometimes we have to sit with it and really get to understand it. And I've done a lot of that myself anyway. So I do understand if you are feeling down, and I send you a lot of love through this video, that there are alternative ways. Now, when I went through my difficulties, what I did was I wrote poetry. And what poetry does, I call it the language of the heart. It helps you to tap into deeper feelings. It's not a logical language. It very much is all about expression of emotion. What's happening these days is most people are suppressing their feelings. They're putting on a brave face, and we also connect strength and leadership to not showing emotion, that we are calm and cool. And sure, that does connect to some degree with inner peace. When people are peaceful, there is a calmness and is emanating from them. But it's not a facade. It's a true feeling of joy and being at peace with what is around you. When we're putting on the mask, which we clowns know very well what the mask is all about, we are pretending to the world that we're okay, because we don't want people to see us in a negative light, or we think it's a weakness of some sort, a failing. I'm here to say to you, it's not a failing, not at all. It's being human. We are all human, whether you're a boy or a girl, man or woman, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter your gender. We all have moments where we need to cry and get it out. And what I've taught when I've taught peace is we have tear ducts for a reason, and it is to release toxins from the body. So it's very healthy to cry, and it doesn't matter what gender you are. Until you come into a really good understanding and expression of your own emotions, you won't have a healthy mental life. You'll compartmentalize your life to forget about things that cause you pain, And some people do, they actually segment their life so they don't have to look at certain things. But eventually it will catch up because you can't suppress things forever. Eventually they'll surface, something will trigger them. So what I've done, as I said before, was I've done poetry. I've also done clowning on the streets too, and giving love, I find, is a really great way of experiencing it and feeling at peace and goodwill within your own self. I've clowned in 20 countries around the world. Obviously, I send out love to everyone that I don't know them personally, but it doesn't matter to me. I see them all as my family now. The clowning experience has cultivated within me an ability to love people unconditionally, who they are. I don't sit in judgment of them, so when people walk past me, I can see great beauty in everyone. I've sat with people on the streets, and I've talked to people from all walks of life, whether they're older people, younger people, doesn't really matter. I just see people and I feel a real connectedness to them. I don't look into my iPhone and, or listen to the iPhone or whatever and ignore people or disconnect. All this technology. The technology does create another barrier to really seeing people. Like if you're on a tram or a train, I mean, I've been in so many cities around the world, and it's amazing to me how uniform this is, where people all sit there and look down. Nobody looks at each other because we're in big cities. In most cases, we're in cities. Some people are in small towns, but majority of the population on the earth is moving into cities now. And we do feel uncomfortable with people we don't know. And that does create a sense of isolation between people. And even in the workplace, we find the same thing, that people are disconnected from one another and they're being professional because they're wearing those masks. So that's got to create some sort of turbulence within people if we're not being true to ourselves. And I do believe a lot of the emotional discord in the world has got a lot to do with believing negative thinking, not enough dialogue, discussion of matters. We tend to suppress what we truly think, and we imagine what is going on. And that can cause a lot of distress when we believe our thoughts. So a way out of that discord or unhappiness is to question your thinking. It's the number one thing to do. And I know of The Work by Byron Katie, and that certainly helped me, and I've laughed a lot at some of the beliefs I've had, that have caused me upset. And what I love about The Work is it really just gets you to question your own thinking and to try on your judgments of that you may well project out at others. You turn it back to yourself and you sit with it. And all pathways back to happiness and peace require you to look at yourself, not the other person. I love that idea of how someone blames you, like they stick the finger, what they say is the one finger pointing is not the one to look at, it's the three fingers pointing backwards at you. So when you're blaming someone, you're saying you're a this or you're a that, think about the three fingers that are pointing back to you. That is the reality. Everything you see in your world is a reflection of you. It has to be, because your inner feelings are what are colouring or tainting the way you see the world. And if you become very aware of how you're feeling in all moments, you will start to see how you're putting the world together in your own mind. We have more than 6 billion people on the planet today who are all seeing the world differently. Now, where we have a uniting of viewpoints is typically through media, because we've believed those thoughts. But again, they're not our own, they're not our experience. They are, if you like, journalists' experiences that have been written up for film. There's been snapshots. You're really looking at 30-second grabs, and people are assessing a whole situation in 30 seconds, and then you're getting an impression from that and believing that's true. I know in my previous work as a market analyst that there is a big picture, and 30 seconds is not going to give you the picture at all. There are always many sides to conflict in the world, and equally there are many situations where people are not in conflict. In the majority of cases, we're not in conflict. Majority of cases, most people are going about their lives seeking peace, in actual fact. But if we believe that prism through which we look and call that television or satellite TV or internet, we are the ones who are just getting that small slither of information, and we're believing that that's the whole world, and it's not. So just bear that in mind. The greatest thing you can learn is critical thinking, is to start to look at things with more of a critical eye, and critical thinking is not being negative, it's just asking questions is really what it's about. So going back to the work is questioning your negative beliefs. And I'll just give you a quick rundown on how you can do it. You can go to the work, it's thework.com, that's all one word, thework.com. So let's have a look at it. Think of a negative belief that you hold. Now often when people are sad, it could well be that they feel that they're not loved. That could be a negative belief, no one loves me. Another one could be, I'm a failure, I never succeeded. Another one could be, I'm hopeless. So let's just choose, I'm hopeless. Let's choose that one, because I'm sure many people feel that way when they're down. So the first question is it true that I'm hopeless? And it's just a yes or a no answer. Most people go, yes, well, I feel hopeless. I just can't make it. Second question is, can you be absolutely sure that you're hopeless? And most people might say, well, yeah, or they might go, well, I'm not 100% sure. There are moments when I've actually done things that aren't hopeless. The third question is, how do you feel, how do you react when you believe the thought that you're hopeless? Now that's a very powerful question, because it brings up your emotions. You might say, I feel weak, I feel stupid, I feel I've got no control, I feel vulnerable, I feel really sad, I've got no energy, etc. So you would write all these things down. And then the fourth question is, who would you be without the thought if you simply just drop the thought? It means you can't think it. Imagine that. Can't think that you're hopeless. Well, you'd be the opposite, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be hopeless. You'd be capable and able to do whatever it is you think you need to do. So that's just trying that on in that way. And then Byron Katie talks about the turnarounds to the self, to the opposite, and to the other. In the case of I'm hopeless, the opposite would be I'm not hopeless. Give 3 reasons where you're not hopeless. Well, I got out of bed this morning and made breakfast. That's not hopeless. It can be as small as that. I've held a job for however long. I've made friends. Could be, some examples of where you're not hopeless. Or you've done a degree, or good at trades. There'll be something in you that you've done that is definitely not hopeless. No one is actually hopeless in truth, but we believe we are at times. And so you would try that. You would try that on in many ways, and that's what the work is about. And essentially, what it's really saying is that it's all about projection. Now, I want you to imagine that your mind is a projector, and you're projecting your beliefs, emotions onto the screen of life that you call life and that you call truth, because you believe what you think. Now, if what you're seeing in the world is a result of what you're thinking, then it's truly your creation. You are creating what you see. And it's not hard to understand that. I know from the market research profession, when I used to do focus groups with people, I might get people to reflect on something. It could be some advertising, or it could be a product. And I might say, what do you feel when you see that? Or if that had a personality, what sort of personality would that have? And inevitably, everyone comes up with something different, because we're all different. We all see differently. And, one of probably the biggest schisms in conflict is people expecting others to see the world the way they see the world. And the reality is that we don't. We truly are diverse, and we're all individuals. Not one person is the same, not even identical twins. We are all different. And to believe that people should see the world as you see it, it doesn't work. It won't happen, and it will cause unnecessary misery that you'll go through, because you'll be trying to force people to change. And many marriages have gone south because of one or both seeking to change the other into what they think they want. And that doesn't work like that. To create happiness, even in a marriage situation, is to fully accept people as they are and not control them. It is really about you dealing with yourself and finding your own joy. Another really important fact there with the relationships is no one is there to make you happy. No one owes you the happiness. Often, in the ideal of marriage, it's like, we'll make each other happy. Well, the truth of the matter is that you have to make yourself happy. And that means being true to you, and often we compromise to fit in with others. And there's nothing wrong with going with the flow. But if it works against who you are and you're pretending to be someone you're not in order to impress someone, you're not going to find the happiness there. So, that's another mask that you'd be wearing. And deep down you won't be happy with yourself because you know that you're not telling the truth. So, our emotional state really does reflect how truthful we are to ourselves and how aware we are of our emotions. The emotions are what they call the inner navigation. And if you're really tuned into how you're feeling, you should be able to very quickly assess a state of mind or emotional well-being in any moment. Let's just say you're in a job that you don't like, for example, and rather than going, I really hate this job, it's a dead-end job, don't like the people, I'm just looking for another job, I hate working, or whatever it is, you can feel already in the emotions there that there's a real lot of negativity. But if you can say, well, at least I've got a job, this is another way of changing the feelings so that you can go into higher feeling states. You go, well, okay, it's not exactly the job I want. What I would like is a job where, I'm really enjoying the company of the people I'm working with. I'm doing something creative. I feel fulfilled, love going to work every day. That's what I'd really love. But for the moment, I'm working in this job, and whilst it's not the perfect job, at least it's a job and it is paying the bills and it does get me out of bed in the morning. And whilst, the people probably aren't as friendly as I'd like, I do tend to concentrate more on what I'm doing because I'm not distracted by conversations. And I feel that I'll be moving towards something more that I like. Now, the narrative I've just expressed to you is a way of moving your emotional feeling, if you like, into a higher feeling where you're feeling better about yourself and you're not feeling powerlessness. The moment you go into a negative state where it's all a dead end and there's no hope, it actually brings down that feeling, and in your life you'll start to see more and more of that, because whatever we focus on does grow. If you keep, a good example I've always thought was the red car scenario. When someone buys a red car, suddenly they see red cars everywhere, and that's the selective nature of consciousness. It just selects out whatever you've been thinking about, because you can't think about all of it. You're going to be taking out little bits and pieces that interest you from life. So if you're always seeing, for example, the cup half empty, that it's never any good, government's useless, the environment's going to pack, which is a pretty common narrative these days, that things are getting more expensive. If you keep going in that direction, you will feel the unhappiness of focusing on that all the time. And if you believe that everything is energy, E equals mc squared comes to mind, and that it's all swirling atoms, that energy does change in respect of how we think, because that's also energy. Emotion, they say, is energy in motion. So energetically, when you become more tuned into your emotions, you will feel the energy in a place. You'll feel your own energy too, and people will feel it. They'll know if you're an uplifting person or whether you're a depressed person. It's very evident by the energy that's around you. So these are deeper matters of energy, but ultimately the essence of this message is to really think about what you're thinking about. If you are sad, go into what it is that's creating that sadness, that belief, because they're only beliefs. The actual events are in the past, they don't exist anymore. So what you're really working with is thoughts that are still in your mind. The future doesn't exist either. So if you're worried about what's coming in the future, no point doing that, because you don't know what the future will be until it's in the present moment. Very important to stay in the present moment. And in fact, you will feel great feelings of peace and centeredness when you're living here and now, not worrying about the past or the future. But for those who are still carrying a lot of negativity in their minds, you do have to question your thinking. So I'd encourage you to go and visit the website thework.com, and that's Byron Katie, the work of Byron Katie. And if you're very serious about peace and happiness in your life, you'll start to question your own thinking. And you will laugh. I know I did. I laughed a lot at the things that we really believe and we don't question. What I've come to the conclusion of today is, in my world, certainly, I don't see anyone I don't like. I see diversity in people. And when I listen to people or talk with people and they have very divergent views from me, I respect that diversity. They don't have to think like me. They are not excluded from being a friend with me because their thinking is different. Because I've had the most wonderful experience of clowning in Russia, like with Patch Adams and with 40 Clowns, I've come to see that it's being present with one another that really matters. And there is a lot of beauty in everyone, is what I see now. And I'm seeing it in myself too, because I'm connecting to values and virtues. And all values are, you know, when you're experiencing an internal value, like empathy, for example, it joins you with other people. If you're feeling love, that joins you with people. Kindness, compassion, they're all the same offshoots from love anyway. Anything that divides you, like fear, jealousy, hatred, envy, anything that divides you from other people is not a virtue or a value. And you will feel that separation. It's also part of the ego as well, where we separate from others, trying to make ourselves feel better than them or more superior. In reality, we're all equal, and we're all here with different skills and different abilities. So when you start to accept this incredible diversity in which we live, and you can't change it, it's here, you may inspire change, but that's about as far as it goes. People are on their own paths. All you can really do is find what makes you happy, question yourself, and learn to live with diversity without expecting people to be like you. Once you master that, you'll know what I'm about, and you'll know that we are here to be happy. So I hope that discussion helps, and I send you lots of love, lots of peace in your heart, and enjoy the journey. We're not here very long, and know that your life most definitely makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, you're making a difference every day. So with that, I'll say goodbye, and I send you much love. Have a great day.